All right, I'll go ahead and begin this practice by saying I've noticed a theme or pattern for this week. And it wasn't intentional, it just seems to be where the classes are going. But at the very beginning of the week, we had some storms and the uh, sky was really cloudy. And I wanted to do lightning bolt poses. And so I brought up the god Indra. Indra was the god or the lord of the skies, and his weapon was a lightning bolt, very similar to Zeus in Greek mythology. And so that's what we focused on at the very beginning of the week. And then I noticed yesterday, I was still inspired from my trip to Costa Rica, and I was thinking about sugarcane because I had uh, gone to visit a coffee plantation. And at the end of the tour, where they were showing how to manually grind beans, at least the way they were previously doing it before they got this big machinery, they also had this, I don't know, I think it's like a press, and they would put barks of sugar cane through it. And then, of course, all the juice and the pulp would, be caught in the cups. And we got to try some in its natural state. And so I had looked up sugar cane because I know we have a sugar cane pose in yoga, and discovered that the bows that Kama was the god of love, kind of like Eros in Greek mythology, but this particular god of love would use a bow made of sugar cane, and his arrows were feathered and flowered, and he would pierce the hearts of people like a love elixir or a love potion to bring up desire and lust and passion and arousal. And so our focus yesterday was on Kama, who is actually one of the avatars of Shiva. And when I was looking all this information up, I also discovered, because I knew Shiva had a bow, so it makes sense that Kama was an avatar of Shiva. But I also read that Lolita and Ganesha were also often depicted with the bow. And Ganesha was Shiva and Parvati's child, born of clay. So that makes sense for him having the bow. And I have been hearing about Lolita for years. Now, when I normally hear about Lolita, it's usually from someone who's into tantric yoga. For instance, those of you that may know Amy Barnes, who does the kirtans, and she used to come to Half Moon to lead those. I've gone to several classes and workshops with her, and Lolita would be mentioned. And so I knew it was from the Sri Vidya tradition, which is a tantric form of yoga, but I really didn't know much about her. In fact, later through the years, when I would hear more about her, I remember getting on Google and trying to research this goddess. And I literally could not find anything other than the mention of a book that some Russian writer had written. It was actually like a controversial type of book. And so because she was brought up yesterday in my research, I thought, I want to talk about Lolita. I want to learn about Lolita. So I finally discovered some information, but I had to dig to find it because there's actually a name called Tripura Sundari that she goes by. And Lolita is actually spelled two different ways. It can be L-O or L-A. And I think that's where I was having a little difficulty, finding her as well. But she represents the ultimate divine feminine, the ultra form of Shakti. So Shakti is that divine, feminine, creative life force energy. In fact, if you've heard me talk about Kundalini Shakti, that's often represented as a coiled up snake at the base of the spine. The dancing of the energy, awakening and moving upward, is representative of Lolita. She's depicted, very beautiful. And she's actually an avatar of Parvati, Shiva's wife. So that makes sense, right? That she would also have the sugarcane bow. But she's gorgeous. And the reason why she's so gorgeous is Parvati turned into Lolita when she was wanting to basically grab Shiva's attention. When she was wanting Shiva's love and admiration, then she turned into Lolita, this kind of seductress type of goddess. So she is known to link spiritual love to erotic or exotic energy. So I'm going to see, what else do I want to say about her? Oh, this is something else I found fascinating. You may, now I've got a couple goddesses in here. I don't have them right in front of me. But if you ever see the deities that are depicted of the goddesses, they're usually bare-breasted. And I also learned this about saris. I don't know, when I was a little girl and I would see these beautiful Indian women, like I lived in a small town in North Carolina, so we didn't have many Indian people. But I worked at J.C. Penney, and I remember that every weekend, this big family of Indian descent would come through, and I always loved their saris, their beautiful fabrics, and how it was overlaying the body. And I always thought it was interesting that even though they were so covered, they always showed their midriff. You know, they usually had a crop top on underneath the sari that would show their whole midriff section. And of course, as an adult, when I finally got to travel to India, you know, and everyone is dressed in saris, I always thought it was not only sexy, but very cool that women of all ages sported these crop tops. It didn't matter if they were super skinny, thin, big boned, or very voluptuous and full bodied. They still wore the crop tops. Anyway, in the research, I discovered that in the past, saris only covered the waist down, and they might have, you know, one of the fabrics that came up over the head or wrapped around the shoulder, but they actually used to be bare-breasted and showed their belly. And it wasn't until Islam came in to the culture, and it wasn't until the British came in to rule the culture, that they started to dress a little bit more conservatively, and they would cover their breast. And the idea of revealing the breast and the navel was to demonstrate this is the source of life and creation. So it was celebrated, it was worshiped. And that kind of divine feminine aspect has been, you know, on the downhill slope. But moving into the age of Aquarius, this divine feminine power is going to make a resurgence. I want to say that the last thing about Lolita that I'll share is when you see her depicted, her right foot is resting on the Sri Yantra. And a yantra is used as a visual tool for meditation and liberation. And I only have one object, and my friend Daniel gave this to me. But it has the Sri Yantra. It's also called the Sri Chakra, and it has sacred geometry of 9 triangles. And then it has all these lotus flowers, and it represents the cosmos and the evolution of the multifaceted universe. And so I have this sitting on my bathroom. I'm gonna try to get it towards the camera so you can see. I don't know if you can see that design, but it represents kind of the source of life. That design in the middle is the yantra. It's usually got a square, but you should check it out. It's a great meditational tool. So with this in mind, she sits on a lotus flower. Lotus represents transformation. Because she's the consort of Shiva, it's very similar because she has a snake wrapped around her neck, also representative of transformation. She has a crescent moon on her brow like Shiva that represents, you know, consciousness. So we'll go ahead and begin on the mat. So I'll meet you there. And what I want us to start off with is a child's pose. I'm going to move that. And if you want to use your bolster and make it restorative, you can. You can start off in the child's pose with the arms wrapped around you. You may prefer the arms extended in front of you. So go ahead and pick one. And even if you pick one, it's okay if you alternate to another, if you feel like the other one would be best. Lolita means little playful one, but it also can mean oscillating, trembling, or shaken, right? It's the awakening. So as you come into child's pose, just allow yourself to start to turn within and recognize when you turn within that it doesn't matter if you're male or female in this physical body, we both, we all hold both masculine and feminine energy. But we're going to try to embrace more of the feminine energy today. Now take some deep breaths in and out through your nose. Try to fill up your lungs completely as you breathe in. Exhausting them as you breathe out. Just centering yourself before we begin some mindful movement. The soulful journey. Your next inhale, we're going to come up to standing Vajrasana, where the arms frame the face and we're standing on the knees and the shins. And then as we exhale, we're going to take a hold of the right wrist at the sacrum and lower down like child's, but turning to the right temple. And then inhale, we come up, standing Vajrasana. Exhale, clip a hold of your left wrist, turn to your left cheek and temple. And then we're going to continue to flow this way, side to side, back and forth between the right and the left. The right representing the masculine and the left representing the feminine. Breathing in and out. This will be the last one, breathing out and down. And then just stay resting towards your heels and erect the spine. And I know this position doesn't work for everyone's ankles or knees. So please take a block in between your ankles or sit on a bolster. We're going to do the corkscrew. So we're going to lift the arms up overhead and we're going to create Kali Mudra, what I often call temple or Jupiter Mudra. And ladies, left them over right. If any men are doing this recording later, right them over the left. The shoulders lift up towards the ears and the arms hug the head. And then the corkscrew is this repetitive motion where you're circling the hips, almost like you're doing a hula hoop. But then you're also creating the circular movement through your ribs, which reminds me of belly dance. And then, of course, the arms are circling overhead. So this represents the Kundalini Shakti, awakening and rising to be expressed. So this could be our Lolita pose today. And then you're going to reverse that. It's not easy, is it? You may feel like you need more coordination. I'll always feel that way with the second side. Just do the best you can. It's a little bit of a workout. Then come back to center. Relax the arms down. When you splay the arms to your sides, slide your hands out in front of you, but we're going to shift the whole upper body and we're going to lower to the hip points. Shoulders stay down from your ears, your legs lengthen back. Your glutes tighten up. Cobra. My son's been having lots of dreams about snakes. And so I was telling him, you know, it means personal transformation. And then on your exhalation, gently come down to the belly. Pause in the lower form of Cobra. Stay lifted in a deliberate and fearless way, facing everything that comes your way, and having the attitude that you will rise joyfully with each and every new opportunity. Make that the affirmation. I rise joyfully to greet each and every new opportunity. Inhale, press up. Exhale, lean back. Extended child's pose. This time the arms stay active. Elbows rising. Inhale, shift forward, tabletop. Exhale, curl your toes. Lunge into downward facing dog. From Adho Mukha Svanasana, press through your palms into the mounds of the hands. Lengthen back through your arms. Lift through your sits bones. And then begin to travel the feet forward to the top of the mat, lifting up halfway upon arrival. And exhale, lower down and in. Uttanasana. Now imagine you have that three-pronged plug underneath the soles of the feet. Stemming from the mound of the big toe, root those down. And then consider that at the mound of the pinky toes, anchor them down. And then at the center of your heels, push those down. Notice when you put more attention there, where attention goes, energy flows. And then you'll get firmer through your calves, more of a stretch through the hamstrings, and more of a lift through your knees. On your next inhalation, reach the arms to your sides and up to Urdhva Hastasana. And exhale, bring hands to Samasthiti. We're going to do a couple Surya Namaskaras to continue to warm up. As you inhale, circle the arms overhead. Exhale, fold, keeping your feet plugging down into your mat. Inhale, lifting halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bow out. Move pairs. Inhale, step back to plank. Holding yourself up in plank to build some strength. Shift forward, lower down to Chaturanga. Inhale, land your knees, lift to upward facing dog. Exhale, curl your toes. Roll back to downward facing dog. Hold and breathe. Let's take 3 powerful breaths. Inhale, plant the feet at the top of the mat, lifting and radiating the heart, and then exhale, melt the heart down and in. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, we're diving right back into Uttanasana. Inhale, lift and lengthen out. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, take plank. Exhale, shift and lower. Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, rolling back to downward facing dog. Thighs rolling in and powering back. Breath staying nice and full. Now imagine that 3-prong plug down through the hands, through the mound of the thumbs, index fingers and pinky fingers. Inhale to the top of the mat. Open the heart. Exhale, let it go. Inhaling up. One more of those. Exhale, fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bow out. Inhale, take plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale to Urdhva Mukha. Exhaling to Adho Mukha. Rediscover your breath as if it were the first time today. Next inhale, plant the feet at the top, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold and remain. And affirming as you hold, nothing and no one on this earth can hold me down or back. So Lolita is sometimes depicted sitting on the lap of Kama, the god of love. She's depicted with flowers and ashes. Next, inhale, sweep the arms to your sides and up. And then exhale, bring hands home to the heart. All right, since the Sri Yantra, with all of its triangles, is depicted with Lolita, we're going to add in some triangular poses. So hands to the heart. Inhale, bring the arms up first. And then exhale, lean to your right, lowering the right arm down beside your right leg, taking Chandrasana, crescent moon, to represent the moon on her brow. The awakening of consciousness. Part of its symbology. Inhale, let's bring ourselves back to Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, lower the left arm down and then just curve to your left. Affirming strength and courage fill up my body cells. Inhale, bring it up. Now arch it back. And exhale, hands together as you humbly bow. On your next in-breath, we're going to step the left foot back first. And we're going to go ahead and sink the back knee to the floor. So when you're setting up for the half lunge, we're going to do a little bit of a flow here. Keep that front knee aligned over your ankle. And then we'll rock back to half Hanumanasana. And I'm meant to have blocks here because you can have your hands on blocks and you can move them forward or back with the sequence, especially if your hamstrings are, really tightly woven. All right, we're coming back to the sole of the foot, lifts the head, gaze forward, and then we'll rock back to half Hanumanasana. One more of those, landing to the sole of the foot into your half lunge. And then we're coming back again to the half split. So remember, we're trying to break through our obstacles so that we can be led more towards liberation. And the obstacles can come up in many different areas. It could be physically, it could be mentally in our psyche, it could be an emotional block. And it may be our own spiritual growth that has become stagnant or blocked. All right, so we're going to pretend that we're in triangle pose. All right, so notice if your right hand can stay positioned on its own or if you need that brick or block below. And then we're going to open up like we would in triangles, taking that left arm out and up towards the sky. So it's kind of an open twist. And then we'll move towards a revolving twist. So let's lower the left hand on the exhale. Take a deep inhale, lengthen out through the vertebrae. Stay landed on your left hand, but then revolve open to your right. Now you're gonna feel that IT bend. Speak up. Create that whispering sound of breath. And as you exhale, lower the right hand, land back to the right foot, curl the back toes under. We're stepping into downward facing dog. From Adho Mukha Svanasana, your downward facing dog, you're gonna exhale, lower knees, chest, chin, Ashtanga Pranam. We're gonna slither back to the belly to cobra. And then we'll curl the toes and roll back to downward facing dog. When you return to downward facing dog, take a deep breath, hug the belly in. Roll the shoulders away from your ears. And then when you're ready, inhale, the left foot steps through. Lunge that knee, descend your back knee. Pausing here. This is our first establishment of this next flow. I don't know about you, but my hips feel pretty tight. And the hips go back to the second chakra, which is where we say our creative juices abide. And that's the area of procreation as well. All right, we're gonna walk the hands back. Stretch out the left leg, half Hanumanasana. And we're not rushing this. It's okay to continue to breathe. We're not rocking back and forth, inhale to exhale. We'll come back, half lunge, head lifts. 2 to 3 breaths. And coming back to half split. Returning to half lunge. Back to the half split. Let's hold this for a couple breaths, and then we're going to open up like we would in triangle, and then we'll do the revolving format. Lower body's gonna stay the same. So let's do the open twist first. Keep on your left hand, but then uplift your right arm. Exhale, lower the right hand, establish it before revolving to your left. And you're making sure that that left hip is not moving outward, but it's staying as it was. And then this can be a lot. Let your breath be your support system. Have fun with it. Lolita's meant to be playful. Lower the left hand down, return to the sole of the foot, walk your hands forward, curl the back toes, and we're gonna step the right foot through and fold. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, lean to your left this time in Chandrasana. Getting a nice side bend. Keep anchored through your feet. Inhale to the top. Exhale, lean to the right. Right arm falls by the wayside. Inhale back up. Exhale, hands together and fold straight down the middle. Inhaling, the left foot's gonna step back. That foot's going to sink down thoroughly. And then we'll bring the hands up to stand because we're going to work with triangle. So lift the arms up, rock the hips back, come down to triangle pose. So triangles with the pinnacle pointed up represents the inner fire transformation. Shiva and his consorts are always recognized as being part of that transformation process. Let's take that left arm forward and then clockwork it down, back towards the left hip, up towards the sunlight, back across the ear, clockwork it down, back behind, and up towards the sun. One more. Pausing at triangle. When you're ready, lunge that front knee, roll out of the back heel, stepping into plank, pushing back to downward facing dog. And from Adho Mukha Svanasana, take a deep inhale, move all the energy up towards your sits bones. Exhale, descend knees, chest, chin, Ashtanga Pranam. Inhale, slide through to the belly, Bhujangasana. And exhale, roll it on back to Adho Mukha Svanasana. All right, we're gonna take that triangle to the other side, so the left foot's gonna step through. Instead of dropping the back knee, we're gonna plant the back foot instead. Lift your hands, open the arms, slide over the front leg, windmill down to triangle. And take that top arm over the ear, clockwork it down, back towards the hip, and up towards the sun. Do that 2 more times. Affirming energy, joy, and love flow down to me. Cast your gaze down, lunge that knee, come out of that back heel so that you can step the back foot forward and close back in towards your legs. All right, we're gonna do one more C Surya Namaskara. So inhale, coming up. Take a back bend. And fold straight down the middle. When you fold straight down the middle, we're gonna step the left foot back. Now, this is where, again, I'm meant to have blocks here. You may want blocks underneath your hands because we're going towards revolving triangle. Now, you can stay on the ball of the back foot and straighten the front leg, but you can also hop that left foot over and down so that it's nice and planted and firmly rooted. Yogi's choice. But we're gonna take revolving triangle, Parita Trikonasana. And exhale, lower the right hand. You may need to wiggle the left toes back, stepping into downward facing dog. Breathing in. Breathing out to Ashtanga Pranam, knees, chest, chin. Inhale to the belly to cobra. Low, medium, or high. Exhale, rock and roll back to downward facing dog. When you're holding downward facing dog, we need to establish the left foot now in front. So when you're ready, step it through. And then grab those blocks if you need them. Straighten the front leg or offset your back foot. When you're ready, revolving triangle. If it strains the neck to look up, you can leave that part out. Exhale, lower the left hand, lunge that knee, step the right foot through, fold back into self. Inhale all the way up, back bending. Exhale, hands to heart. All right, before we come back down to the floor, we're going to do a balancing pose. Because the lotus flowers depicted with most of the gods and the goddesses, but especially with Lolita. So we're going to stack and stand on the right leg. We're going to pick up the left foot. So we did dancing Indian yesterday that looks like this. And if you don't do half lotus, this is where I want you to pause. Like you're moving into that dancing Indian pose. But if you can catch the heel and bring it to the upper thigh, push it into the thigh bone, descend that knee down, bring some buoyancy into your heart, and maybe thread your left arm behind you to attach to your right. And then find a point to gaze at with your eyes. And breathe. You're ready, release. Move the shoulders a little bit. Ooh, one foot was way ahead of the other, so look down at your feet. Solidify the left leg. Pick up the right, and maybe you want to balance here. Remember, this kind of action here is often depicted with the deity figures, meaning compassion and action. But if you want that half lotus, take the underside of the foot, bring it to the upper part of your thigh, lift your chest, right arm threads behind you, gaze somewhere in front of you. And release. All right, we're gonna bring it back towards the floor and open the hips more because we have a couple more positions that's gonna require open hips. So hands together. Inhale, let's keep it simple. Urdhva Hastasana, palms together and center as you fold. We're gonna step back to downward facing dog so that we can shift towards pigeon. Let's bring the left shin ahead first. Extending the right leg back behind. We're gonna walk the fingertips in. Bring the spine up so it's more vertical to the floor. And then let's surrender. We're gonna do another half lotus in a minute. So this pigeon will really prep the hip and the knee and the ankle for that. Find your edge and remain there as you breathe. Inhale, let's start to come up. Plant the hands, curl the toes, take it to downward facing dog. Now the right shin comes through. Lower the back leg. Walk the hands in, lift the crown up. I'm not going to stay here long. We're not even going to try to balance without the hands. In fact, let's go ahead and walk it out. And surrender to this side. Inhale it slowly, exit out. And when you come out, lean to the right hip and just bring that left leg around in front. I'm going to turn this way so that you can see what's happening with the right leg. So if you don't do half lotus, just do Janu Shirshasana where the foot's connected to the inner thigh. And don't worry about it. But if you have that availability, pick up your right heel with your right hand, take the top of the foot with your left, and then place it into your half lotus. Then we'll circle that right arm behind the back. Don't worry if you can't find the foot, but if you can attach the hand to it, sometimes it helps to take that twist. And once you find your grip, turn back to face your front leg. Then lift the left arm up. And then as you exhale, hinge down. Inhale, we're going to drive it back up. And as we exhale, we're going to lower that arm. All right, lean into your hands a little bit because we're going to turn that left foot on its side and slip it up underneath the right knee. So it's not quite double pigeon because the right foot is still in half lotus. Again, if you don't do half lotus or that double pigeon, that's okay if the right foot goes to the front side of your left knee and you can still see that triangle at your lap. All right, so we'll now bring the hands forward, lift the chest, and we'll start to come down over the lap. Your degree of flexibility wherever that lands. I'm trying to think of, in fact, I'm going to look real quick. I have a CD or album downloaded on my phone, and I actually have the actual hard copy of it as well. I'm trying to think of the name of it. I think it's called Divine Feminine. No, Mother Divine. It's fabulous, you guys. There's only 3 songs on it called Mother Divine. And one of them is about Lolita. And so I've had this album for years, and I'm so happy I finally looked her up to learn more about her. There was an article that a lot of people have sent to me. Evidently, the state of Alabama determined that yoga could not be in the school system because it promoted Hinduism. And a lot of people were sending me this article, including my sister, and I just laughed at it. I was like, you know, the same thing happened in California. It's not really an Alabama thing. It's a lack of understanding. And then inhale, slowly come up. So these lessons on the gods and goddesses is not to convert you to a religion. It's to teach you, because a lot of these poses stem from those stories and myths, and then we can learn about what it represents and what it symbolizes, and we can reflect on those things. It's just a different expression of the higher power, of the one. All right, so we'll straighten out the legs, and then we'll take it to the left side. You don't have to turn, but so if your left foot is more comfortable being on the floor for Janu Shirshasana, do that, and you'll just lift and fold, or you can still wrap your arm behind you and fold. But if you want that half lotus, let's go ahead and pick up that left foot, place it to the upper right thigh. See if you can thread the arm behind you, and then turn back to face forward with your right arm, reaching up, and then folding when you're ready. So this pose shows up more in the Ashtanga primary series, but it's my favorite pose in that series. So I'm happy we're getting to do it in Blissful today. Inhale up. Exhale, we'll release the hands behind us. We're gonna see if we can slide the right heel under the left knee. Again, if this is too much, or if you had the foot on the floor already, you're just gonna step it out in front of your right shin. There's always a way. And then hinge again over your lap. Inhale, let's draw it up. All right, we've been building up for this blossoming lotus balancing pose. It's actually pretty, I think it's fairly simple. I don't know, you can be the judge of that. But you bring the arms to the inside of the leg and then hook it underneath the near calf, and then eventually to the other side as well. We'll lift the chest, and I like for the hands to be in Shuni Mudra, because patience is required for balance. The feet are flexed. By the way, if you want to see a picture of Indra or Kama or Lolita, I've never spoken of these deities in the past, and I decided to depict their images on our Moonbeam Yoga Facebook page in case you want to take a look. And then exhale, release. And we're going to end with a twist. So just sit comfortably and raise the arms. And we'll twist to the right first. Separate the hands along the way. So the right hand comes to the floor behind you. Left hand to the right knee. Maybe turning the head enough to gaze over the back shoulder. But if that's a strain for the neck, you can leave it out. Next inhale, bring the arms up, face center, and then splay the arms, rotate to the left. Maybe closing the eyes this time and affirming mentally within, I radiate my love, my goodwill to soul friends everywhere. Radiate my love, goodwill, and compassion to soul friends everywhere. Exhale, unwind. We are ready for Shavasana. So I know we did some up dogs and some cobras, and you may not be feeling a restorative back bend. But if you wanted to use your bolster to create a restorative pose, you can certainly take it. Flexing the feet, letting them go at least hip width apart. And you can choose whether or not you want your arms in an A-frame position or hands resting down on your stomach. I thought we would end with the restorative back bend just because it's opening the abdomen, the navel center. It's also opening the heart center. These two areas that were exposed, representing the source of life, the source of creation. What is celebrated with the divine feminine. Now, when you close your eyes and you gaze towards your drishti, if you already know what the Sri Yantra or Sri Chakra Yantra looks like, I know I showed it to you in the beginning, but you may or may not have gotten a clear depiction of it. But if you already know what it looks like, try to imagine that printed in your third eye. Usually when you're doing a visual meditation, even picturing a symbol here, it can be general or it can be more specific, as if you were looking towards the bindi in the middle of the design. That's usually where we set the drishti. I'm hearing the mindfulness bell ring. Just take a breath in and bend your knees. And then just casually rock and sway them side to side. Eventually turning over to one, to use one of your hands to help to lift your way into a comfortable, stable seat. If you want to sit in full lotus, right, since we've done half lotuses today, you're welcome to go there. Sitting up nice and tall, closing the eyes. Bring your hands to Anjali Mudra, prayer position at your heart. Thank you for joining me in this practice devoted to this divine feminine energy. May we walk away being more inspired to learn more about these postures and this history and all that it represents. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste.
Thank you, Robbie.
You are so welcome.
Thank you.